So today we're talking about managing your winter greens with regard to weeds, even if they're edible and useful, but they can take over, and also the successive nature of cropping. So you can see that the bok choys in this area, and we'll show you a different area in a minute, are nice and open and flat, and the leaves are really broad because they're out in full sunshine. They've got no competition for light. The little kales that are intermittently planted between, because they're slower growing, so they're coming through gradually. We need to harvest, so we're harvesting to manage. So we're either with your thumbnail or a knife, you're harvesting the leaves away from the kale, or that's what we're doing, so that we're allowing the kale to come through. And we're also harvesting smaller weeds that are getting in the way, and maybe tucking them under the mulch when you've only got this level of weed. So now this is an example of edible weeds having got a little bit out of hand. And chickweed, as we've talked about in previous videos, is really tasty, a good source of chlorophyll, so a great thing to have in winter for yourself or for your chickens, in salad or in smoothies for humans. Now, it has a natural kind of harvesting system that, or a natural way it grows, so that when you pull it out, the root system's easily detached from the top growth, and so it naturally comes back. So it's great for continuous harvesting. However, in this situation, this is starting to compete with the coriander, which we want, not so much with the broccoletti, because it's coming up and above everything now, or the sprouting broccoli. So what we're going to have to do now is actually dig down with little tools or trowels and get some of these roots out. We will then either put them into a big bin with water, cover, leave for 3 or so days, and then once they're made into weed tea, we'll water that back into the garden and put it into the compost heap, or tuck it under the mulch. But we've got so much matter here, we'll probably have to make some weed tea out of it. We'll also feed some to the chickens and quails, of course, Deb's and my chickens and my quails. So the other thing to take note of here is that the broccoletti has now really shot up. A couple of issues to note. One is that it's starting to get a little bit of aphid in some of the leaves, just in here, right in the center here, there's some aphid. So we can squash those, or we can get a hose and just spray them with a really sharp jet of the hose to get rid of those. I mean, we always start with the least invasive option first, so that's what we'll be starting with. It's not really a serious problem as yet, but we're starting to get them sitting up above the very closely planted bok choys. Now in this case, unlike the bok choys over on the other side, these bok choys are growing very upright. So this is now the time to take these out, because they're not managing to get that much light onto their leaves to photosynthesize. And you can see that they're not getting the same kind of development as the ones on the other side are. So this is how you manage very closely planted crops.